The council chamber was filled with panic. Ambassador Thelvin watched as representatives from 12 different species argued loudly. Their voices echoed off the metal walls of Prime 7 Station. Outside the windows, space looked peaceful. But that peace was a lie. The Krathid were coming, and nothing could stop them. Thelvin's hands shook as he held the datapad. For worlds were gone. Just gone. The Krathid swarm had eaten everything. Millions of people dead. Billions more would die if they didn't find help soon. The galactic military had tried everything. Their ships exploded. Their weapons failed. The Krathid adapted to every attack. They learned. They grew stronger. We need a miracle, someone said. Thelvin didn't believe in miracles. He believed in research. For 3 days, he had searched through restricted files. Most species in the galaxy came from safe worlds. Nice planets with gentle weather and peaceful animals. Their military forces were designed for defense, not real war. They had forgotten how to be dangerous. Then he found Earth. The file made his blood run cold. Class 12 Deathworld. The highest danger rating possible. Gravity 1.3 times standard. Aggressive predators everywhere. Diseases that could kill in hours. Weather that could destroy cities. And the dominant species, humans, were classified as extreme risk. The file had warnings in red text. Approach with caution. Do not provoke. Highly aggressive. Exceptional combat capability, but that last part gave him hope. Exceptional combat capability. Maybe dangerous was exactly what they needed. The council voted. It was close. Many feared humans almost as much as the Krathid. But fear of extinction won. Thelvin sent the message to Earth. He prayed they would answer. He prayed even more that calling them wasn't a mistake. On Earth. In the city of Seoul, Commander Hyenwoo sat in his office when the alert came. He was old for a commander, with gray hair and scars on his hands. He had fought in the resource wars 20 years ago. He knew what real combat looked like. When he saw the alien message, he read it 3 times. The message was simple. Help us. We are dying. Please, Hujan-Woo called Admiral Yun-hee immediately. She arrived within the hour. Young-hee was young for an admiral, only 40 years old. She was the smartest person Hyenwoo had ever met. Her mind worked like a computer, seeing patterns others missed. She read the alien message and smiled. They found us, she said. Finally, humanity had known about alien life for 5 years. They had detected signals, learned languages, watched from a distance. They had prepared, built ships, trained crews, waited for contact. Now contact had come, and it needed weapons. He assembled the War Council. Captain Tae-soon was first to arrive. He commanded the heavy cruiser Indomitable. Tae-soon was bold and loud. He loved fighting. Some called him reckless. Yun-hee called him effective. He looked at the alien message and laughed. About time someone noticed us, he said. When do we leave? Dr. Bora came next. She was a xenobiologist, someone who studied alien life. But Biora didn't just study life. She understood it. She could look at an alien creature and know its weaknesses. She read the information about the Krathid and nodded slowly. Hive mind, she said. Biological adaptation. Interesting. Very interesting. Lieutenant Haewon was last. She was the tactical officer, cold and precise. She never smiled. She never joked. She just calculated. Numbers, angles, probabilities. She looked at the Krathid attack patterns and started making notes immediately. The council meeting lasted for hours. They discussed strategy, logistics, risks. Some argued they should send scouts first. Learn more. Be careful. But Captain Tae-soon stood up and slammed his fist on the table. They're dying now, he said. Not tomorrow. Not next week. Now, we go with everything we have. Admiral Yoon, he agreed. She gave the order. Battle Group 7 would deploy. 30 warships. 5,000 crew members. Everything humanity could spare? It wasn't a rescue mission. It was an invasion force. The aliens had asked for help. Humanity would give them war. Captain Taesung assembled his crew on the Indomitable. Sergeant Kung Ho stood at attention. He was a Marine, enhanced with biological upgrades. He had trained in the Venus colonies where the heat could melt metal. He was a killer, pure and simple. He grinned when Taesung explained the mission. Finally, Kung Ho said, "Real combat." Engineer Dongmin checked every system twice. He was responsible for keeping the ship running. Human ships were built tough. They had to be. Earth's war games involved flying through radiation storms and asteroid fields. Alien ships would break apart under that stress. Dongmin made sure the Indomitable could handle worse. Pilot Su Ben ran flight drills with the fighter squadrons. She had learned to fly in Earth's hurricanes. Winds that could tear wings off planes. She could handle anything space threw at her. Her pilots were the same. Crazy, brave, and very good. Medic J1 loaded medical supplies. He had treated soldiers in active combat zones. He could perform surgery while people were shooting at him. He could fix injuries that would kill normal people. He prepared for casualties. There would be many. The fleet gathered in orbit above Earth. 30 ships, dark and angular. They didn't look like the sleek alien vessels in the database. Human ships looked like weapons, because that's what they were. The Valorants opened a warp gate, a tunnel through space. Battle Group 7 entered it. Ambassador Thelvin waited at Prime 7 station. When the human fleet emerged from the warp gate, his hope turned to fear. The ships radiated heat like small suns. Their weapons were huge. Their armor was thick. These weren't explorers. These were warships. The humans had answered the call. They brought a fleet. They brought fury. Thelvin wondered if the galaxy was ready for what came next. The Krathid had no idea what was coming. Neither did anyone else. The Deathworlders had arrived. The docking procedure took 3 hours. Ambassador Thelvin watched from the control room as human ships maneuvered into position. They moved with precision, like predators circling prey. Military Coordinator Pelmic stood beside him, all 4 of his arms shaking slightly. "Look at their hull plating," Pelmic said. "It's designed to withstand direct energy weapons. And those thermal signatures are wrong. Their ships are too hot." Thelvin knew what that meant. Human ships ran hotter because humans could tolerate more heat. Their systems operated at temperatures that would cook other species. It was efficient, but terrifying. Everything about humans seemed designed for violence. Captain Taesung was first aboard the station. He walked through the airlock with 6 Marines following him. Sergeant Kyung Ho moved like a machine, his enhanced muscles visible under his uniform. The humans didn't wear environment suits. They breathed the station's air without filters. Thelvin had adjusted the atmosphere specifically for them. Higher oxygen content, higher pressure. It made his lungs burn. Taesung stopped in front of Thelvin and smiled. It showed his teeth. Predator teeth, designed for tearing meat. Thelvin tried not to flinch. Ambassador Taesung said, "Thank you for the invitation. Let's talk about killing some Krathide." The directness shocked Thelvin. No pleasantries. No diplomatic protocol. Just straight to violence. He led the humans to the briefing room. Admiral Yun joined them remotely, her face appearing on a holographic display. She looked young, but her eyes were old. Warrior eyes. Pelmix began the briefing. He showed maps of Krathid movements, attack patterns, casualty numbers. The swarm had destroyed 4 worlds in 2 months. Millions dead. Their military had tried everything. Energy weapons worked at first, then the Krathid adapted. Kinetic weapons worked briefly, then the Krathid developed armor. Nothing stopped them for long. They learned too fast, Pelmic said. Our best estimate is 3 days before they reach the core worlds. Once they take those, the Valoran civilization ends. Captain Taesung looked at Lieutenant Hae-1. She was studying the attack patterns on her datapad, her fingers moving rapidly across the screen. She looked up and spoke in a flat voice. 3 days is sufficient time, she said. The Krathid formation shows clear weaknesses. They prioritize speed over defense. We can exploit that. Helmix's antenna twitched with confusion. How? They adapt to every weapon we use. Dr. Biora leaned forward. She had been quiet until now, just watching and listening. You use energy weapons and standard kinetics. Civilized weapons. We're not civilized. We're from Earth. She pulled up images of human weapons. Nuclear missiles. Plasma cannons. Kinetic kill vehicles that could crack planets. Chemical weapons. Biological weapons. Weapons designed to destroy completely. Helmix looked horrified. These are banned under galactic law, he said. We're not part of your galaxy yet, Admiral, Yunhee said from the hologram. And you asked for help. This is how we help. The briefing continued for 2 hours. The humans asked questions that made Thelvin uncomfortable. How fast do Krathid reproduce? What temperatures kill them? What chemicals are toxic to their biology? Do they feel pain? Can they experience fear? Every question was about finding weaknesses. Ways to kill more effectively. When the briefing ended, Thelvin offered to show the humans to their quarters. Taesong declined. His crew was staying on their ships. They were more comfortable there. Thelvin understood. The station's gravity was too low for them. The air was too thin. The temperature was too cold. Humans needed their death world conditions. Before leaving, Taesong stopped at the station's observation deck. Other aliens were there, watching the human fleet. They stared at the humans with fear and curiosity. Sergeant Kyung-ho noticed a group of young Valoran's children who had survived the attacks. He walked over to them. The children backed away. Kyung-ho was big and scary with his enhanced body and scarred face, but he knelt down to their level and smiled gently. Don't be afraid, he said. We're here to help. The bad things that hurt your families? We're going to make them go away. One child, braver than the others, stepped forward. Are you really from a death world? Kyung-ho nodded. Yes, Earth is dangerous. But that makes us dangerous too. And right now, you need dangerous on your side. The child thought about this. Will you win? Yes, Kyung-ho said. There was no doubt in his voice. We always do. Back on the Indomitable, the crew prepared for combat. Engineer Dongmin ran diagnostics on every system. The ship was performing perfectly. Weapons at full capacity. Shields at maximum. Engines ready for combat maneuvers. He had pushed the reactor to 120% output. Any alien engineer would call that suicidal. Dongmin called it standard operating procedure. Pilot Subin briefed her fighter squadron in the hangar bay. 20 pilots stood at attention. They were young and excited. Most had never seen real combat. Subin had. She knew what was coming. Listen carefully, she said. The Krathid will outnumber us. They'll be faster in some ways. But they've never fought humans before. They don't know what we can do. Use that. Be unpredictable. Be aggressive. And remember, you're not fighting for Earth today. You're fighting for people who can't fight for themselves. The pilots nodded. They understood. This wasn't about glory. It was about protection. Medic J1 set up the medical bay. He had supplies for every possible injury. Radiation burns. Vacuum exposure. Alien toxins. Combat trauma. He prepared for the worst. He always did. His assistant, a young medic named Ji-woo, looked nervous. What if we lose? Ji-woo asked. J1 didn't look up from his work. We won't. We're human. Losing isn't in our nature. In his quarters, Captain Taesong reviewed the battle plan with Lieutenant Hae-won. She had calculated firing solutions for 6 different combat scenarios. Each one involved significant risk. Taesong loved it. The Admiral wants us to wait for reinforcements, he said. But if the Krathid attack before then, we engage, Hae-won said simply. Waiting costs lives. We didn't come here to watch people die. Taesong smiled. They understood each other. Sometimes the right choice wasn't the safe choice. On Prime 7 station, Thelvin couldn't sleep. He stood at the observation window watching the human fleet. The ships looked like sleeping predators, dark and patient. In 3 days, everything would change. Either the Krathid would be stopped, or the galaxy would fall. He had bet everything on these dangerous creatures from a death world. He remembered an old Valoran saying, "When you dance with demons, make sure you can survive the music." But they were close, and the music was about to start. The alert came at midnight station time. Valora 5 was under attack. The Krathid had changed their pattern, striking earlier than predicted. 2 million civilians were trapped on the surface. The nearest Valoran fleet was 6 hours away. Battle Group 7 was 2 hours away. Admiral Yun, he called an emergency meeting. Her hologram appeared in the Indomitable's bridge. Captain Taesoon stood ready, his hand already on the command console. "We wait for proper support, Yun," he said. "Intelligence is limited. We don't know the full Krathid's strength." "People are dying," Taesoon replied. "Every minute we wait, more die." "Captain, that's an order." Taesoon looked at his crew. Lieutenant Hae-won was calculating trajectories. Engineer Dong-min had his hand on the engine controls. Pilot Su-ben was already in her flight suit. Medik Jae-won was prepping emergency supplies. They were ready. They were always ready. "Admiral, I'm experiencing communication difficulties," Taesong said. "Repeating communication difficulties. Cannot confirm orders?" He cut the transmission. Yan-hee would be furious. She would probably demote him. But later? Right now, people needed help. All ships, he broadcast to the fleet. Battle stations. "We're going in." The human fleet jumped too faster than light speed. Inside the ships, crews prepared for combat. This was what they had trained for. What they were built for. War. They emerged from FTL near Valor 5. The planet was beautiful, covered in blue oceans and green continents. Above it, the sky was black with Krathid bioships. Thousands of them. Maybe tens of thousands. Living vessels that pulsed with organic movement. They were attacking evacuation shuttles, killing civilians as they tried to escape. Sensor reading, Lieutenant Hae-won reported. Estimated 15,000 enemy vessels. Classes range from fighter-sized to cruiser-sized. All biological. Detecting acid-based weapons and parasitic boarding capabilities. Captain Taesung smiled. 15,000? Good. I was worried this would be too easy. The Krathid noticed the human fleet immediately. A portion of their swarm broke off and headed toward them. The hive mind was curious about these new ships. It sent scouts first. Testing, probing, learning. The scouts died in seconds. Human point defense systems tracked and eliminated them with perfect accuracy. Laser grids cut through organic holes. Missiles exploded in calculated patterns. The Krathid had never faced defensive systems this precise. They adapted quickly, sending more ships in different patterns. Those died too. "They're learning," Hae-won said. "Adaptation rate is fast. Approximately 30 seconds per iteration. We don't give them 30 seconds, Taesung said. "All ships, attack pattern Del 27. Show them aggression." The human fleet didn't form a defensive line like the Krathid expected. They charged forward. 30 warships accelerated directly into the swarm. The Krathid mind was confused. This wasn't normal behavior. Prey ran away. These ships ran toward death. The Indomitable fired its main cannons. Plasma bolts superheated the space between ships. Each shot carried the temperature of a small star. Krathid bioships evaporated. Their organic armor couldn't handle the heat. Behind the cruiser, destroyers launched nuclear missiles. The Krathid had never encountered nuclear weapons before. They didn't understand radiation. They learned fast. Hundreds of bioships died in nuclear fire. The hive mind recoiled. It felt pain, real pain. It sent more ships, surrounding the human fleet from all sides. Now the humans were trapped. The hive mind felt satisfaction. It would consume these new creatures and learn their secrets. Then Pilot, Su-ben launched with her squadron. 20 human fighters burst from the Indomitable's hangar. They moved in ways that shouldn't be possible. Rolls, loops, sudden direction changes. The human pilots were pulling 8, 9, 10 G-forces, maneuvers that would kill normal species. Subin laughed as her fighter spun through enemy formations. "This is Red Leader," she broadcast. "All wings, weapons free. Show them what Earth pilots can do." The fighters carried different weapons than the capital ships. Smaller, faster, designed for close combat. Railguns that fired solid metal slugs at incredible speeds. Missiles with smart targeting, and something special that Dr. Biora had designed. Deploying biotoxin package, Subin announced that her fighter released a cloud of engineered viruses. Biora had worked fast, creating something that would attack Krathid biology specifically. The virus spread through the swarm. Bioships started convulsing. Their organic systems turned against themselves. They fell out of formation, drifting helplessly. The hive mind felt something new. Fear, but the Krathid were many. They adapted to the virus. They surrounded 3 human fighters and tore them apart with sheer numbers. Subin watched her pilots die. She felt rage. Cold, focused rage. "All remaining wings, follow me," she said. "We're going deeper." She led her squadron into the thickest part of the swarm. It was suicide. It was also effective. The Krathid focused on her, pulling ships away from the civilian evacuation shuttles. Those shuttles escaped to safety while human fighters bought them time with their lives. On the indomitable alarm screamed. Krath boarding pods had attached to the hull. They were trying to breach the ship. The organic pods burned through armor with acid. Creating entry points, Sergeant Kyung-ho was ready. He stood in the corridor with 50 Marines. They wore powered armor that made them look like walking tanks. They carried weapons that would be illegal on any civilized world. Flamethrowers, acid sprayers, weapons designed for close-quarters horror. The Kratsteed broke through the hull. They poured into the corridor, insect-like creatures with too many legs and sharp mandibles. They screamed as they charged. The hive mind wanted to consume, to assimilate. To grow, Kyung-ho pulled the trigger. Fire filled the corridor. The Krath had burned. They tried to adapt, growing heat-resistant shells. Kyung-ho switched to acid rounds. The creatures dissolved. They tried to dodge, moving faster. The Marines had trained for targets that fast. Every shot found flesh. "Fall back to secondary positions," Kyung-ho ordered. "Lead them deeper." The Marines retreated in perfect formation, drawing the Krathid into prepared kill zones. More fire, more acid, more death. The Krathid kept coming. The hive mind didn't understand retreat. It only understood attack. That was its weakness. Medic Jae-won worked in the middle of combat. He pulled wounded Marines out of firing lines. He treated burns, cuts, broken bones, all while shooting at Krathid with his sidearm. He had learned to multitask during the resource wars. You didn't stop healing because people were dying. You healed faster. A young Marine named Taemin took a Krathid claw through his shoulder. Jae-won pulled him back, sealed the wound with emergency foam, and injected combat stimulants. Taemin was back fighting in 30 seconds. The wound would kill him later if not properly treated. But later was after the battle. Right now, he was needed. Captain Taeson coordinated from the bridge. He watched his crew fight and die. Each loss hurt, but he couldn't think about that now. He had a battle to win. Target their formation nodes, he ordered Hae-won, the big ones coordinating the small ones. Hae-won had already identified them. She fired the ship's main cannons with mathematical precision. Each shot destroyed a node. The Krathid formations broke apart without coordination. They became confused, attacking each other as much as humans. The battle lasted for hours. When it ended, the space around Valora 5 was filled with debris. Thousands of dead Krathid. 3 human fighters destroyed. 1 destroyer badly damaged. 230 human casualties. 27 dead. The Krathid retreated. For the first time in their history, they ran away from prey. The hive mind was confused and frightened. These creatures from the Death World were more dangerous than anything it had encountered. They didn't just fight. They enjoyed it. Captain Taezong looked at the casualty list. 27 names. 27 families who would receive bad news. He memorized each name. A captain never forgot his dead. Admiral Yunhee's hologram appeared. She looked angry. Then she looked at the casualty numbers and the evacuation statistics. 2 million civilians saved. You disobeyed orders? She said. Yes, Admiral. You'll face court-martial when this is over. Yes, Admiral. She was quiet for a moment. Then she smiled slightly. But well done, Captain. Well done. On Valora 5, survivors looked up at the stars. They had been saved by monsters. Beautiful, terrifying monsters who fought like demons and died like heroes. The Deathworlders had drawn first blood. The Krathid would never forget it. The Galactic Council met in emergency session. Representatives from 20 species filled the chamber, all talking at once. The humans had won at Valora 5, but the cost shocked everyone. The casualty numbers made peaceful species uncomfortable. 27 humans dead was considered acceptable by human standards. By galactic standards, it was a massacre. Admiral Young-hee stood before the council. She wore her full uniform, medals across her chest. Each medal represented a battle fought, a war won. She had many medals. You invited us here, she said. You asked for help. We gave it. 2 million civilians are alive because of us. Ambassador Thelvan spoke carefully. We are grateful, Admiral, but your methods are concerning. Nuclear weapons. Biological weapons. These are banned under galactic law. You're not bound by your laws, Yenhi replied. And you're dying. Your laws didn't stop the Krathid. We did. Military Coordinator Pelmix pulled up holographic displays. The Krathid are adapting faster than expected. They learned from Velarifov. They're changing tactics. We estimate they'll hit 3 core worlds simultaneously within 2 days. Then we change tactics too, Yanni said. No more defense. We attack their home territory. The council chamber went silent. Attack Krathid space. That was suicide. No one had ever successfully invaded their territory. The swarms were too thick. The hive mind too coordinated. It's impossible, someone said. He smiled. You keep using that word. I don't think you understand what it means to humans. She pulled up her own display. Battle plans. Attack vectors. 3 separate assault groups hitting different Krathid worlds at once. It was aggressive. It was risky. It was total war. You'll all die, Pelmix said. Ibi Yunhee agreed. But we'll take them with us. And while they're fighting us, they're not killing you. Dr. Bior stepped forward. She had been working non-stop since the battle, analyzing captured Krathid biomatter. Her eyes had dark circles under them, but her mind was sharp. I've identified weaknesses in their biology, she said. The hive mind is their strength and their weaknesses. They're connected. If we can find the source of that connection, we can break them. She showed images of Krathid neural structures, complex organic computers that processed information for the swarm. There's a central node somewhere, a queen or core intelligence. Find it, kill it, and the entire swarm collapses. And how do we find it? Thelvan asked. Lieutenant Haywan spoke from her position behind the admiral. Pattern analysis. Every Krathid attack shows slight preference for certain vectors. They're protecting something. I can calculate the probable location. The council debated for hours. Half wanted to refuse the human plan. It was too dangerous, too aggressive. The other half pointed out they had no choice. The Krathid were winning. Desperate times required desperate measures. Finally, they voted. The humans were given full military authority. They could do whatever was necessary to stop the Krathid. Some council members looked relieved. Others looked terrified. They had just unleashed Deathworlders with no restrictions. Earth sent reinforcements. Carrier Group 12 arrived with atmospheric bombers designed for planetary assault. The super dreadnought Soul's Pride came through the warp gate. It's a massive ship that carried enough firepower to crack a moon. 2 new commanders joined the fleet. Commander Young Jae specialized in overwhelming force. His ship, the Relentless, was built for one purpose: destruction. He believed in simple tactics. Find the enemy. Kill the enemy. Move to the next enemy. No mercy. No hesitation. Captain Nari was different. She commanded the stealth ship Shadow. Her weapon wasn't guns. It was fear. She understood psychological warfare. How to break enemy morale. How to make them afraid to fight. The Krathid hive mind had never experienced psychological warfare. She was going to teach it. The human fleet split into 3 groups. Captain Taeson led Group 1 against Krathid supply lines. Their job was to destroy everything the swarm needed to grow. Food sources, breeding worlds, resource stations. Taesung's group hit fast and hard. They jumped into Krathid systems, destroyed everything in orbit, and left before reinforcements arrived. No prolonged battles. No attempts to hold territory, just destruction and retreat. Scorched earth tactics. On one world, they found Krath breeding grounds. Millions of eggs waiting to hatch. Dr. Biora wanted samples. Taesung wanted them destroyed. They compromised. Biora took samples. Then Taesun glassed the entire continent with orbital bombardment. The eggs burned. The hive mind screamed in rage. Commander Young Jae led Group 2 against the primary hive world. It was suicide, and everyone knew it. The hive world was protected by millions of bioships. Getting close was impossible. Young Jae didn't care about impossible. His dreadnought Soul's Pride led the assault. The ship was huge, slow, and covered in armor. It absorbed damage that would destroy smaller vessels. Behind it, cruisers and destroyers provided support fire. They pushed through the Krathid defenses like a hammer through glass. All weapons, continuous fire, Young Jae ordered. I want that planet burning. The Soul's Pride had weapons that made the Galactic Council nervous. Mass drivers that could punch through planetary crust, plasma cannons that burned hot enough to turn stone to gas, and one special weapon that even humans were afraid to use. A planet cracker. Young Jae used it. The weapon fired a concentrated gravity beam into the hive world's core. The planet's crust split. Magma erupted across continents. Tectonic plates shattered. The entire world died in hours. Billions of Krathid died with it. The hive mind felt pain beyond anything it had experienced. Captain Nari led Group 3 on a different mission. She didn't attack Krathid directly. She attacked their mind. The Shadow broadcasts messages into Krathid space. Images of human history. Humans hunting predators to extinction. Humans surviving disasters that destroyed civilizations. Humans making weapons that could destroy planets. Then she showed them something worse. She showed them humans eating captured Krathid. It was staged, fake, but the hive mind didn't know that. It saw predators consuming its kind. The psychological impact was massive. The broadcasts included sounds, human war cries, battle music, screaming. The Krathid had never encountered psychological warfare. They didn't understand it, but they felt it. Fear spread through the hive mind like a disease. Nari took it further. She hacked into Krathid communications and inserted false data. Made them think human fleets were everywhere. Made them doubt their own senses. Paranoia infected the swarm. Back on Prime 7 station, Lieutenant Hae-won worked day and night analyzing data. Every Krathid movement, every attack pattern, every communication intercept. She built a mathematical model of the hive mind's behavior, and she found it. The pattern. There, she said, pointing at her display. Sector 447, be deep in a gravitational anomaly near a black hole. That's where their Queen Core is located. Ambassador Thelvin looked at the location. Nothing can survive there. The gravity would crush any ship. Any normal ship, Admiral Yen-hee corrected. But we're not normal. She called a meeting of all group commanders. Taesung, Young Jae, and Nari appeared on holographic displays. Yen-hee explained the plan. Someone had to go into the black hole's gravity well and destroy the Queen Core. It was a one-way trip. No ship could escape that much gravity. I'll go, Taesun said immediately. No, Young Jae argued. The Soul's Pride has better armor. I should go, neither of you, Nari said. I've been studying Krathid psychology. I know how to hurt them worst. They argued for an hour. Finally, Yan-hee made the decision. Taesoon would lead the mission. The Indomitable was fast enough to get close and tough enough to maybe survive. Maybe. This is suicide, Pelmic said when he heard the plan. Isyanhi agreed. But sometimes that's what winning costs. Captain Taesoon gathered his crew. He explained the mission. Anyone who wanted to leave could transfer to another ship. No shame, no consequences. He gave them an hour to decide. The hour passed. Not one person left. Sergeant Kyung-ho spoke for them all. "We came here to fight," he said. "We'll fight until it's done." Engineer Dongmin started modifying the ship, stripping unnecessary systems, reinforcing the hull, overclocking the reactor to 200%. The ship would probably explode. But it would explode after they completed the mission. Pilot Suben prepared her fighter squadron. Only 5 pilots remained from the original 20. The others had died at Velorifavi. These 5 were the best. They would fly escort into hell itself. Medic J1 loaded extra medical supplies. He knew most of them wouldn't be used. The mission would either succeed quickly or fail completely. But he prepared anyway. That was his job. The Indomitables separated from the fleet. Behind them, the rest of Battle Group 7 formed a defensive line. They would hold off Krathid reinforcements while Taesong completed his mission. It would be the biggest battle of the war. On the bridge, Captain Taesong looked at his crew. They were ready. They were always ready. "Set course for Sector 447B, he ordered. "Maximum speed. Let's end this." The ship accelerated toward the black hole, toward certain death, toward victory or extinction. The crew didn't hesitate. They were human. Fear was natural, but courage was choosing to act despite fear. The Deathworlders were going to kill a god, or die trying. The journey to the black hole took 12 hours. The Indomitable traveled through space at maximum speed, leaving the rest of the fleet behind. Captain Taesoon spent the time walking through his ship, talking to his crew. He knew most of them wouldn't survive. They knew it too. But no one complained. In engineering, Dongmin was working miracles. The reactor was running at 200% capacity. The hull plating was reinforced with every spare piece of metal on the ship. He had stripped out life. Support from non-essential sections to boost power to shields. The ship was now more weapon than vessel. "How long can we maintain this?" Taesoon asked. Dong-Min wiped sweat from his face. The engineering section was hot enough to cook meat. 3 hours, maybe 4. After that, the reactor melts down, and we all die in nuclear fire. "That's plenty of time," Taesoon said. He meant it. In the hangar bay, Pilot Suben briefed her remaining squadron. 5 fighters, 5 pilots. They'd all volunteered to fly escort into the gravity well. It was impossible to fly in those conditions. The gravity would tear wings off planes. But Suben had trained in Earth's worst storms. She knew impossible was just another word for difficult. "Stay tight on my wings," she told her pilots. "The gravity will try to pull us apart. Don't fight it. Use it. Let it push you where you need to go. Think of it like surfing a wave." One of her pilots, a young woman named Misoon, looked scared. "What if we can't make it out?" Suben put a hand on her shoulder. "Then we don't make it out. We make sure the mission succeeds first. That's all that matters." In the medical bay, J1 prepared for casualties. He had supplies for burns, broken bones, radiation exposure, and decompression injuries. His assistant Ji Woo was organizing surgical equipment. She was young, and this would probably be her first and last real combat mission. "Are you scared?" J1 asked her. "Yes," she admitted. "Terrified." "Good," he said. "Fear keeps you sharp. Use it." Sergeant Kung-ho gathered his Marines in the armory. 50 soldiers checked their weapons and armor. They all knew the mission might require boarding the Queen Corps directly, fighting through organic corridors filled with Krathid defenders, close combat in conditions that would kill normal soldiers. Kung-ho had fought in worse, or at least he told himself that. The truth was nothing was worse than this. But he was a Marine. Marines didn't quit. They won, or they died trying. "Listen up," he told his squad. "We're about to do something that's never been done before. We're going to kill a hive mind, a god." something that controls billions of creatures, and we're going to do it with guns and guts and human stubbornness. Remember that. We're human. We don't lose. The Marines cheered. It was defiance in the face of death. No. It was beautiful and insane. On the bridge, Lieutenant Haywan monitored sensor readings. The black hole was growing larger on the view screen. It was beautiful and terrible. A massive sphere of nothing that bent space itself. Around it, the Queen Core orbited like a dark moon. It was huge, the size of a small planet, pulsing with organic energy. Gravity readings are increasing, she reported. We'll be in the gravity well in 30 minutes. Taesung nodded. He opened a channel to the rest of Battle Group 7. Admiral Yoon-hee appeared on the view screen. We're about to enter the well, he told her. Once we're in, we won't be able to communicate. The gravity distortion will block signals. Yani's face was calm, but her eyes showed emotion. I know, Captain. Good luck. Thank you. Thank you for what? For being the bravest damn captain I've ever served with. The channel closed. Taesoon took a deep breath. All hands, battle stations. We're going in. The Indomitable entered the gravity well. Immediately, the ship began shaking. Gravity pulled at the hull from every direction. Metal groaned under stress. Alarms screamed warnings. Engineer Dongmin fought to keep systems online. He rerouted power, balanced loads, prayed to gods he didn't believe in. Hull integrity at 80%, he reported. 75? 70? Pilot Subin launched her squadron, 5 fighters, burst from the hangar and immediately felt the gravity trying to crush them. Misan's fighter spun out of control. She corrected, using her instincts and training. The fighter stabilized. Barely. Stay focused, Subin ordered. Follow my lead. The Queen Core detected them. It sent bioships to defend itself. Thousands of them poured out of organic ports on its surface. They swarmed toward the Indomitable like angry insects. The hive mind was afraid. These humans had destroyed worlds. They'd killed billions. Now they were coming for the heart of the swarm. The battle was chaos. Human fighters dueled with Krathid bioships in impossible gravity. Pilot Taehyun's fighter was torn apart by gravitational shear. He died instantly. The remaining 4 pressed on. Subin fired her weapons, destroying bioships with precise shots. But there were too many. I'm hit, Misun reported. Her fighter was trailing fire in atmosphere. I can't maintain control. Eject, Subin ordered. No, Misan said. Her voice was calm. I can still fly. I can still fight. She turned her damaged fighter toward the Queen Core and accelerated. She was going to ram it. Subin tried to stop her, but Misun had already cut communications. The young pilot crashed her fighter into the Queen Core's surface at maximum speed. The explosion was small compared to the Queen Core's size, but it created an opening. All remaining fighters, follow me through the gap, Subin ordered. The Indomitable fired its main weapons. Plasma bolts struck the Queen Core's surface, burning through organic armor. Lieutenant Hay-1 aimed with mathematical precision. Each shot hit a critical point, weakening the structure. But the Queen Core was enormous. They needed to get closer. Hull integrity at 50%, Dongmin reported. We can't take much more. Then we finish this fast, Taesoon said. He turned to Sergeant Kyunho. Get your Marines ready. We're going in. Boarding pods launched from the Indomitable. 50 Marines in powered armor, shooting toward the Queen Core like bullets. Kyungho led them. They crashed through the organic hull and entered a nightmare. The interior was a maze of pulsing flesh and neural tissue. Krathid warriors swarmed from every direction. The Marines opened fire. The corridors filled with blood and fire. Kyungho fought with brutal efficiency. He had been enhanced for this. Stronger, faster, tougher than normal humans. He was a weapon designed to kill. He was very good at his job. Dr. Boyer had given him a device, small container holding the bioweapon she had designed. All he had to do was reach the neural center and release it. Simple. Except nothing was simple. When gravity was crushing you and monsters were trying to tear you apart, the Marines pushed deeper. They lost soldiers with every meter. Faces Kyunho knew. Friends, brothers, and sisters. They died so he could advance. He memorized their names. A soldier, never forgot his dead. On the Indomitable, the situation was critical. The ship was breaking apart. Hull breaches everywhere. Systems failing. The crew fought to keep it together. Medic J1 worked frantically to save the wounded. Engineer Dongmin held the reactor together through sheer willpower and genius. Pilot Subin's remaining 2 fighters provided cover. Dying one by one to protect the ship, Captain Taezun stayed on the bridge. He could feel the ship dying beneath him. But they were close. So close. Kyungho was almost at the neural center. Just a little longer. Hull integrity at 20%, Dongmin reported. His voice was strained. Captain, we have to leave now, or we'll never leave. Not yet, Taesung said. Not yet. Deep inside the Queen Core, Kung Ho fought his way into the neural center. It was a vast chamber filled with organic computers. The hive mind's consciousness existed here. It was aware of him. It tried to communicate, tried to understand, tried to bargain. Kung Ho didn't listen. He had seen the worlds this creature had destroyed. The people it had killed, there would be no mercy, no second chances. He activated the bioweapon. The virus spread through the neural tissue instantly. The hive mind screamed. It's a psychic scream that every Krathid across the galaxy felt. The Queen Core's body started convulsing. The Marines retreated, fighting their way back to the extraction point. Kyun Ho stayed behind. Someone had to make sure the weapon did its job. Get out of here, he ordered his Marines. That's an order. They didn't want to leave him, but orders were orders. They ran. Kyung Ho watched them go. Then he turned and walked deeper into the dying Queen Core. He wanted to see it die, wanted to watch this god fall. It was petty. It was human. The Queen Core collapsed. Its massive body tore itself apart from the inside. The bioweapon turned Krathid biology against itself. Every cell attacking its neighbors. A cascade of self-destruction that spread through the entire organism. It died screaming. Captain Taesong felt the Queen Core's death through his ship's sensors. It's done, he said quietly. All hands abandon ship. Get to the escape pods. What about you? Lieutenant Haewon asked. Someone has to pilot us out of the gravity well, he said. Get everyone to the pods. That's an order. Haewon hesitated. Then she saluted and left the bridge. The crew evacuated. Pilot Suben guided survivors toward the escape pods with her last fighter. Engineer Dongmin stayed in engineering, keeping the reactor stable long enough for others to escape. Medic Jaewon made sure every wounded person got to a pod before saving himself.